All right, I see Terry. Lori, help me out here. Is Jenny in the room? I don't see Jenny promoted yet.
I do not currently see her among the attendees. Jenny, if you are here under a different name, please go ahead and raise your hand.
Eric, I don't see her. Do you?
I do not see her among the attendees.
All right, then. This just might be then a conversation between me and Terry. Terry, welcome. It's good to see you. Why don't we just go ahead and proceed? If for some reason Jenny appears, Eric, trusting you'll let me know.
I will be keeping a weather eye.
All right, appreciate it. So Terry, thank you so much for joining us. Terry Taplin, our current incumbent District 2 council member. To start, Terry, why don't you tell us why you're running for council in a minute, please?
I am running to continue my work on housing affordability, community safety, climate resilience, and economic justice. I'm proud of my record of collaborative leadership and pragmatic policymaking. I look forward to working with my colleagues, city admin, and department heads to keep the city focused on advancing our strategic plan goals, growing our tax base, improving the quality of our core services, rehabilitating our infrastructure, and tending to our fiscal health and sound stewardship of our public assets.
Thank you. Okay. Maybe elaborating a little further, can you talk more about the top 3 issues that you would address were you reelected to council this term?
Sure, thank you. My top priorities will be housing and homelessness, community safety, and rehabbing our infrastructure to mitigate the impacts of climate change and address the backlog of deferred maintenance. On housing, I will move forward with the next phases of the affordable housing zoning overlay, social housing pilot study, and first-time home buyers assistance program I passed. And I will work with regional partners to find a new location for the city's transitional housing village and safe RV parking program, formerly housed at the Grayson site in my district, as well as find a new community development partner for the permanent support housing project at People's Park. On community safety, I am committed to working with our fire department to modernize our fire and EMS service, reform dispatch, divert low acuity medical calls to improve response times, move forward the gun violence intervention program my office spearheaded, advance Vision Zero in concert with our fire safe goals, and bring our PD up to adequate levels and reduce overtime. On infrastructure, I will continue to increase general fund contributions to the annual budget for street rehabilitation, bring the Marine Fund into solvency, and implement policies to increase excess equity contributions to the capital improvement program to help the city match, help the city match more local dollars to grant funds.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to take a minute before I ask the next question, just to let our membership know that if you have questions that you would like to ask Terry about District 2, now would be a good time to put them in the chat, please. So Terry, I'll move on though with one of our questions, which is West Berkeley is a serious economic engine for the city. Please take 2 minutes to discuss your view of economic development in West Berkeley and how you would encourage it or improve it.
Sure, thank you so much. As someone who grew up down here, I've always been fascinated by the eclectic mix of industrial work companies, artisans, our small merchants alongside Pablo University, our burgeoning life science, or not burgeoning. I think we have a quite burgeoned life science innovation sector. And I've been very proud of that. And I think that all these uses can exist together. One thing that I've been thinking about is how to bring the West Berkeley Plan and its founding principles into the 21st century so that we can, redress the legacy of environmental racism and the harm caused by the heavy industrial uses while preserving our manufacturing zones as productive economic drivers and create good jobs. That's been a key focus of mine in my office. And we've been looking at property taxes assessment data, and my district pulls our weight in a major way, and I want to preserve that legacy and really preserve the history as well as the future of West Berkeley as a job center and a major center for locally produced and distributed goods.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't see in my queue, oh, let's see. Okay, now I do. I see one question. No, I don't see any questions. I see the instructions for the questions. Eric or Lori, do either of you see some questions that maybe I don't see?
The only question I see is that someone was asking if they were saying that they could not hear us. If anyone is having an issue with that, please, raise your hand and we can try to help you out with that. But we do not have any substantive questions in our chat currently.
All right, well, maybe I'll throw it open to our board members then. We have quizzed Terry thoroughly in a prior board review, but do any of the other board members have any questions they'd like to ask of Terry? And I'm not sure I can see everyone. I do see one message. Okay.
So I can go ahead and throw one in. We did get one in the chat. So a great deal of money has been spent on homeless services with limited impacts on the overall homeless population. What would you do differently if reelected to the council?
One thing I would do is conduct it or support an audit of our current programs, assessing how many persons and households we've been able to place into permanent housing, and then look at which of our programs are not producing the same level of success outcomes. Another thing I want to think about is the amount of resources we are providing households that include parents and small children who may not be receiving the same degree of services as single households, as single individuals. We've seen a lot of success with our permanent supportive housing programs, our transitional housing programs. The challenge for both is land and space. We are doing a lot of heavy lifting, so I want to look at which of our services are duplicative, what are things better handled by the county, and who are nearby partners who have more land to host some of our programs than we do. So that's where I would start.
Thank you. Thank you. A couple other questions have come in. So one question I see here is, can you speak to how the city council can work to increase police staffing? And I think by this, maybe it means from the recruiting end, where I think Berkeley has had some challenges.
Yeah, I mean, we budget for positions. The challenge we have is with recruiting, and the candidates we do recruit, it does take a while to get them through the academy and to keep them. One thing we can look at is what are our nearby competitors, what are they offering? Are there special units? Are there tools and use policies that we don't have, that other jurisdictions have, that are causing candidates to choose them over us? And I would look at reforming some of our policies in those areas. Also looking at how we can partner with our neighboring jurisdictions to collaborate around regional training to increase our recruitment efforts. And yeah, one thing I do appreciate is that we have a high threshold for education. We expect a lot from our officers. So I want to partner with our colleges and our schools to get interested young folks to think about working for our department, especially young people who grew up here in Berkeley as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And I sort of see a follow-on question here. More generally, talk about your plans or your thoughts to address crime in Berkeley.
Sure, yeah. I have a multi-pronged approach to addressing crime. I think it really starts with investing in the community. One thing I'm really proud of is the $32 million community benefits package we were able to negotiate with Bayer Healthcare that created the West Berkeley Fund and funding for STEAM education, economic resiliency and climate equity in West Berkeley. I also want to be sensitive to the needs of the folks who are coming out of incarceration, who may be facing stigma and are able to find work and are reverting perhaps to what they know in order to feed their families. So I look forward to working more closely with the county around workforce reentry programs, and then to address uh, gun crime in particular. I'm proud of the gun violence intervention program we're launching this October. My office worked with a number of subject matter experts and community stakeholders to design a community-driven gun violence intervention program led by folks with lived experience who can help get people out of cycles of violence. And as far as increasing our ability to investigate crimes, I've supported strong policies for the use of public security cameras and license plate readers with privacy rights and data control policies to help us clear crimes that do occur and collect evidence in the use of solving those crimes.
Thank you. I have a question. You may have heard if you were listening to our mayoral candidates. One of the questions had to do with the fact that Alta Bates, will eventually be closed by Sutter Health, and the question of what should Berkeley be doing, about that. Can you please tell us your thoughts about Alta Bates or any alternatives?
Yeah, I think losing the hospital will have an immensely adverse impact, not just on us, but our neighboring cities, Albany, El Cerrito, everyone who has an aging population. I was born there, so it would be a personal loss for me as well. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to prevent the closure of the hospital. If it does close, I think we should think about creating a special zoning district to help us attract another operator, a new hospital perhaps. I think also on the sort of EMS response end of things, reforming our dispatch, launching a program to help our fire department triage low acuity calls for service so that we don't get clogged, so people don't get clogged waiting for transport in the event that we have to transport to hospitals further away. Alta Bates is not in my district, so I haven't been a part of any of the drawing circles around saving the hospital, but these are some of the things I've been contemplating on my side of things.
Thank you. Let me throw it back out to the membership or to the board members. Any other questions we want to ask of our council member and candidate while he's here? I have one maybe while you're thinking of that. Walkability on Commerce streets, has been an issue, not necessarily in your district, but certainly Telegraph. We've addressed this problem on Shattuck. We're still struggling with it in terms of downtown. There's a fair amount of agita on 4th Street merchants about this. What are your thoughts about some concrete steps we can take to improve those commerce strips, make them more walkable and make them more approachable?
Yeah, I think there are a number of things we can do, but I want to lead with something that I think often gets overlooked. I was fortunate to accompany a visually impaired community member on a walking tour of the crosswalks in the downtown along Shattuck. And she pointed out that a number of the auditory signals, the placing of the curb cuts were irregular, and this causes degree of potential hazard and agita as well. So taking a look at that from the perspective of folks who are visually and hearing impaired, as we are looking at our corridors, I think is something I would really want to highlight. We are doing an ADA compliance plan, or I forget the actual name of the plan, but we are it's something the city is currently undergoing. We were not able to fund that in this budget cycle, so I think we'll have to get that funded again. I think there are places where we have really narrow sidewalks and they can be widened. I think increasing the the sidewalks, activating pedestrian space to create a more pleasurable walking experience for patrons of businesses and for commuters, can help. Ensuring that we have safe crossings for our intersections. That's something we're working on along San Pablo Avenue, we being ACTC, that is. And yeah, there's no shortage of things that we can do. It's just a matter of staff capacity and budgetary resources.
So what would be the priority in your mind?
For me, the priorities would be ADA accessibility and safety would be the priority. I think those things have to precede all the, sort of beautification and things like that.
The infrastructure before the rest.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate your thoughts. It looks like one other question came in. And it's sort of long, so I'm going to read it just verbatim. There's a lot of finger pointing with respect to Hopkins. I got my second flat tire there this week, and my kid has to bike on the sidewalk to not get run over when he rides to Hopkins. What would you do to get that project back on track?
Yeah, so the Hopkins is on it was one of the holdover streets, and it is scheduled for 27. The thing is that the city would need to have enough funding to pave it and include the safety improvements. So I think, if Measure FF passes, that will help. If we continue to increase the general fund contributions to street rehab, that will help. But I think the short answer is we just need to increase the amount of dollars we're spending on maintaining and upgrading our roads.
Thank you. Now I've got a bunch of questions. Let me see. All right, I think we're kind of close to closing time. So if you would like to just give us a 1-minute closing statement on your candidacy and maybe, what you hope to work the most on in a second term.
The second term, I want to focus a lot more on the budget, focus a lot more on revitalizing the marina, and San Pablo Avenue as well, increasing our revenues. I'm proud to have the support of the Alameda County Democratic Party, Sierra Club, Berkeley Firefighters, Alameda Labor Council, Alameda County Building Trades, NorCal Carpenters Union, the LGBTQ+ Victory Fund, Equality California, East Bay Stonewall Democratic Club, East Bay Young Democrats, and the Latina Young Democrats, the Alameda County Asian Pacific American Democratic Caucus, State Treasurer Fiona Ma, Senator Nancy Skinner, Senator Bucky Wicks, East Bay Regional Parks Director Elizabeth Eccles, Alameda County Sheriff Justina Sanchez, County Assessor Fong Law, Mayor Jesse Arreguin, Vice Mayor Susan Wingraf, and the Supermajority of the Berkeley City Council, School Board Vice President Keisha Brown, and Director Babbitt, Rent Board Commissioners Andy Kelly and Stephen Elkstrand, and I would be honored to carry the endorsement of the Berkeley Democratic Club.
Wow, you did that all in one breath. Thank you so much.